What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is the part 5 of a story where Issei become the true silver dragon god emperor of fate. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more information. Now, let's get into part 5. As Office replayed that particular memory in her mind, a single tear went down her face, as those were happier memories that she had before everything changed. After Melzeno's death, Mikito completely broken, which upon finding out about his death, he awakened his aura, which allowed him to draw in and manipulate the power over dreams. He soon no longer went by the name of Mikito Akabane, since all it did was bring back such bad memories, and now went by the name of Great Red, the true red dragon god emperor of dreams and illusions, as well as known as the Apocalypse Dragon. But unfortunately for Office, her younger brother found out about Melzeno reincarnations, but whenever he met any of Melzeno's previous reincarnations, all he saw was just a fake or just another clone in his eyes, to which he demanded that reincarnation to hand over his body over to Melzeno. But when the reincarnation said he could not and tried to convince Great Red that they were still their older sibling, he of course became furious, to which he killed all of them. Office had tried many times to save her older brother's reincarnations over the millennia, but each time she had failed to save them. But the part that always confused her was that each time she had met her older brother reincarnation, they always said to never to be mad at Great Red, since he is just confused and doesn't understand why this needs to happen. But nevertheless, each time the dragon god of infinity witnessed the death of her older brother's reincarnation, a part of her died, which led to the hatred that she has towards Great Red currently. But meeting Issei made her determined that she wouldn't let him meet the same fate as the others and would make sure to protect him from her younger brother. Office, mind. Saddened this time. This time I will make sure that you won't die again, Ani-san. Blurg. Office. Startled, huh? Zenovia, worried, oh no, Ice. Office's thoughts were then sadly interrupted when both her and Zenovia saw Issei spitting out a huge amount of blood from his mouth. This greatly concerned both women, since this could mean Issei was losing his battle against the Sons of Sparta. Zenovia. Greatly worried, Office, is there anything you could do? Office. Eyes narrowed, there is nothing I can do. Ice, the only person who can stop this. Zenovia, worried, oh no, Ice. Office, mind. Worried while trembling, please come back, Ice. Ani-san chose you to be the one to settle his battle with his nemesis, so don't you dare sully his name. Back with Issei, 10 minutes earlier. It had been over 10 minutes since Issei and Virgil had taken their battle to the next level, and since Issei had no choice but stick on the defensive, since he now knew how much Virgil was holding back, and even now the brown-haired boy believed that there was still more that the eldest son of Sparta was leaving out. Even with him being able to use both Ascalon and his wings as blades, all he could do but be on the defensive, even to the point he had to use his wings as actual shields against Virgil's attacks, and while proven effective, the attacks were still quite painful for the brown-haired boy to endure. Pling. 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 Virgil. Smirks, what happened? I thought you were going to end this already, and here you are practically running away. Boost, boost, boost. Issei, mind. Serious, damn. Even though my new body is able to handle a lot more boosts compared to before, it's still not enough to even scratch him. This is just his human form. If he decides to turn into that demon like how I saw in my dream, then I am completely toast. Issei. Serious, it doesn't mean that I'm going to give up. I will beat you and prove to you that I'm worthy. Even if I have to take on death itself, I will become the strongest. Dante, mind. Smirks, HMPH. Got to admit, the kid is holding his own pretty well against someone like Virgil. If he was just fighting me, then I would have believed he was worthy enough at this point. Seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. Serious, but I'm still curious who this kid is and why is so determined to claim Yamato so badly. Deciding to satisfy his curiosity, Dante then decided till he knew for sure that both his older brother and Issei were completely invested into their battle to notice anything out of the ordinary. Once he knew that they were the Silver White Man, then opened up a mini pocket connection between him and the one person that could answer his questions. Ddraig. Curious, hello. Partner, is that you? What happened? After you picked the swords, I completely lost connection to you and… Dante. Serious, it's not Issei, he's currently busy fighting my brother at the moment. Ddraig. Serious, Then who do I have the pleasure of speaking to, Dante or Virgil? Dante. Smirks, HMPH. The former, though I'm surprised that the Welsh dragon knows who I am, since I'm pretty sure I never fought with any of your hosts. Ddraig. Serious, that's because the last time me and Albion's hosts fought, he mentioned that his previous host faced you and lost. My previous host had the misfortune of fighting your brother, Virgil. Dante. Whistles, smirks, damn, well, if your last host was anything like the Hakurik I faced, then he was probably no doubt overconfident and got annihilated. Ddraig. Serious, he did. Dante. Chuckles, damn. Smiles warmly while at Issei. But this new host you have, Issei is his name, right? He seems different from your previous hosts. He looks like a good kid, honest, pure, and righteous in his own way. He doesn't end up like the others. Or ends up being killed by Virgil. Ddraig. Serious, may I ask how he is faring against Virgil? Dante. Serious, he's holding his own surprisingly pretty well, given I can tell right off the back that he is for sure a complete novice when it comes to swordplay. But sadly Virgil was also holding back, but now is starting to get serious, and the kid is mostly on the defensive, so I genuinely don't know how long he will last. Ddraig. Serious, with a bit of concern, I see. I had a feeling that should happen. I genuinely thought it would have been better for him to at least train himself a bit more to get used to his new body before this could possibly happen. But I guess he was in such a rush to complete this task given to him and save his new possible mate that it completely flew over him. Dante. Curious, what do you mean? Ddraig. Sighs. Serious, well, you see, the reason why he wants to claim Yamato is because his original reincarnation told him that he would need your blades and your power in order to not only free his possible mate from the evil piece inside of her, but also to stop a great catastrophe that will befall in our world. Dante. Serious, yeah, I know about all of that, but one of my main questions is, what is this great catastrophe you are talking about? What? Is Mundus about to reawaken from his seal once again, and if so, I'm pretty sure Nero can handle it, right? Ddraig. Serious, no, but sadly neither me nor my host have any idea what is going to happen during this great catastrophe. All that we know is that my host will be forced to fight his sworn nemesis during this battle, and this being was said to be someone that not even the dragon gods themselves could hope to handle. Hence one of the reasons why we are here is that we need the power of the Yamato to travel to another universe called Remnant, in which we will find the answers we seek in order to deal with this foe. Dante. Serious, I see. Then tell me, who is this supposed enemy that he needs to fight, and who was it that sent him on this quest? Ddraig. Serious, that is the thing we don't know. We do believe that Office knows who this enemy is, but she will not tell us since she believes that it is up to my current host to find out for himself. As for the one who sent him, it was his original reincarnation, Malzeno, the true dragon god of hope and fate, as well as the silver dragon god emperor of the stars. Dante. Serious, Malzeno. I haven't heard of a dragon god like that. Hell, the only reason I know who Office and Great Red are is because you tend to hear stories like that from my line of business. Thinking while eyes narrow, but that name does vaguely sound familiar. I think my old man mentioned him once or twice when I was kid, but it's a bit hazy. Ddraig. Serious, I wouldn't be surprised since mostly Malzeno wasn't the type to seek out glory or to be remembered as a legend by any means, unlike the rest of us dragons and other races. In my opinion, he always seemed like an observer from the sidelines of sorts and only intervened if the universe was indeed endangered. But I'm not surprised that your father might have known about him since he was around before I even reached my prime. Dante. Serious, I see. Now answer this next question. Just what happened to him, exactly? Ever since he came here I've felt there was something off about him, as if he is currently hurting on the inside, but that wasn't want to fully let it out. I noticed he was hesitant on how he didn't tell us his full name. Ddraig. Serious, That is not for me to say. If my host passes Virgil's test and I know he will, then you both can ask him yourself. Dante. Serious, alright, well, see, because I don't how long the kid will last, to be honest. As Dante finished saying those words, he could see how Issei was truly struggling on getting the upper hand against Virgil, since despite somewhat matching him in speed, the white-haired man's reflexes were too sharp and fast for the brown-haired boy to counter properly. Even though Issei was able to get a few more hits on Virgil, it was sadly not enough to show he was losing strength or showing any signs of losing fatigue. But if Issei was being honest, a small part of him still excited thrilled to be clashing blades with a person of Virgil's caliber of both swordsmanship and strength, and he felt the longer he clashed with the eldest son of Sparta, the stronger and more skillful he was becoming. He honestly believed that he was getting closer to Kiba's level of swordsmanship. It was then Issei saw that Virgil performed a unique side slash that the brown-haired boy once saw him perform earlier in their fight, to which in Issei's eyes, looked like he perfectly cut the air in half, thus creating some sort of suction to draw him in. As such, he personally called this move Void Slash, but of course as soon as the brown-haired boy felt that he was being sucked in using all of his strength, he flapped his dragon wings to help counteract the force of being sucked in and performed a front flip in the air in order to appear right in front of Virgil. Once Issei saw that Virgil was indeed in his line of sight, he decided to pour everything that he got into this one attack, hoping that this would be the end of their amazing battle. Boost 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 boost. Transfer. It was then Issei transferred all of the power that he gathered into Ascalon, since, even though he figured that Virgil may be resilient due to his demonic heritage, as well as years of intense training, it wouldn't do much to someone of his caliber. But he figured that if he boosted not only the holy aspect of the sword, as well as just the raw power of the blade, then it would be enough to do significant damage to him. Issei, mind. Serious, please let this work. Slice. It was then within that fraction of a second Issei did something that made both sons of Sparta widen their eyes, both in shock and amazement. The brown-haired boy was able to perform a downward slash on Vergil's chest, which caused a large amount of blood to spew out of the white-haired man's body, to the point he needed to back away quite a bit of distance. Even though he was indeed in a good amount of pain, and since he could tell that Issei amplified the holy aspect of his sword, it was taking a bit longer for his healing factor to kick in to close the wound. But even though was in an immense amount of pain, he couldn't help but praise Issei's strength and skill. He would even go as far as to say that he was indeed proud of the brown-haired boy. Vergil, mind. Smirks impressive. He has indeed improved since the start of our battle, even though neither me or Dante can use the true extent of our true might, due to us just being souls. The fact of the matter is that to think he was able to keep up with me is damn impressive. Looks at his wound, and the fact he gave me a wound such as this is already enough to give him my respect, since I believe the only two people who could give me such a wound is either Dante or Nero. Issei. You are truly an interesting being. The fact that even though you have the boosted gear and have the body of a dragon, I could tell from first glance that you were a complete novice on how to use your power and abilities. Not to mention your skill when using a sword is at least slightly above novice level. But despite all of that, you somehow overcome that obstacle in just a short amount of time, and the look in your eyes. The eyes that scream for the desire for more power. The power to become the strongest, which I can understand fully well. I could imagine how strong you will be if even time to train your power to fullest. No doubt you could have the potential to reach our father's level of strength and swordsmanship, or even possibly surpass it. Serious, but despite all of that, it is still not enough to convince me to hand over Yamato to you. Smirks, but I think you are almost there. Now Issei. Show me the depths of your motivation. Vergil. Chuckles, interesting. Very interesting. Dante. A bit worried, oh no. Ddraig. Worried, what's happening? Dante. Eyes narrowed. Vergil is about to end this once and for all. Issei. Serious, what is it that you find so interesting, Vergil? Vergil. Chuckles, you Issei. You are the one that is interesting. Issei. Serious, Vergil. Smirks, despite having the boosted gear and being incredibly weak, you still were able to give me such a wound that I can imagine only Dante and Nero could do to me. For that I will end this battle once and for all. With one last final attack. Issei, mind. Surprised he still has enough strength even with that wound I gave him. Eyes narrowed, damn it. I obviously don't have enough strength to keep fighting him, groans in annoyance, but still. I need the power of Yamato, and Zenobia is still waiting for me. I need to prove to not only everyone but to myself that I'm more than a weak pervert who just happened to possess the boosted gear. Serious, dig deep Issei. Dig deeper than you ever had before and find the strength to overcome this obstacle. It was then Vergil got into another item stance, but Issei felt that something was different, to which the brown-haired boy could hear the white-haired man breathing heavily, in which a large vortex appeared all around both Issei and Vergil. The brown-haired boy couldn't believe it, since the suction was about 10 times more powerful than when he performed his void slash, and sadly he currently did not have enough physical strength to pull the same tactic like he did before. But it was then his instincts were screaming at him to run away when Vergil said these next few words. Vergil. Serious, now meet you end. Issei. Panics, shit. Having no time to think and running on just pure instinct, Issei did the only thing he could do that could help survive, which was to cover his entire body with his wings and hope that they could take the brunt of the attack. All the while Vergil then pushed forward with such speed that left an after image behind. Issei didn't know what happened, since, even though he was able to see from the small gap that he left between his wings, he couldn't tell what was currently happening at the moment, because to him, it didn't seem like Vergil barely moved. But before the brown-haired boy could even think, both his wings and the parts they couldn't cover were completely covered in cuts, causing him to fall on one knee while coughing up a bit of blood. All the while Vergil got up from his thoughts with slight difficulty due to his injuries and performed one of his most powerful attacks, but when he saw that Issei was still breathing and conscious, he had a smirk of both interest and admiration, since this boy just kept on giving him more and more surprises. Issei. Groans in pain while trying to standing up, damn. That fucking hurt. Vergil. Smirks, I honestly can't believe that you survived that attack. I genuinely didn't even hold back on that attack. I might say you are probably going to be the most dangerous Sekiryuutei that ever lived. Issei. Smirks weakly, well. I'm glad that I didn't disappoint, because if I'm being honest. Coughs out blood, I'm completely tapped out. I don't even think I can actually get up or move my legs, let alone raise my sword. I don't know why, it could be because of my newfound dragon nature and pride saying this, but I am genuinely furious at myself. Vergil. Dante. Curious. Issei breathes heavily. Serious. I'm truly angry at myself since during our fight. I truly felt that I was getting closer and closer to your level of skill and strength. But it is clear to me that I haven't reached the summit. Smiles weakly. And I guess as a warrior myself, I am truly ashamed that I didn't truly give you a fight worthy of your status. VERGIL. Serious. Issei smiles softly. But now I feel that I'm starting to understand you far better. VERGIL. Yes. Even though I still think what you did to Nero was unjust, during our battle I looked into your eyes, and I saw what you always hiding behind that fierce and stoic expression. Serious. And you know what I saw? VERGIL. Eyes narrowed. Enlighten me. Issei. Serious. What saw was the fear of never being truly strong enough to protect those you hold close to you. That is probably why you maintain that cold and distant expression all the time. It's because you don't want anyone to get too close to you, because underneath all that bravado, you are scared that if an enemy that you couldn't handle were to come, that you wouldn't be able to handle him. Maybe that is why you were so cold to Nero when you found out he was your son. Because you thought you were protecting him, since as a son of Sparta, you will no doubt have a lot of enemies, and the last thing you want is for your own son to be a target because of his lineage, but at the same time you wanted to make sure he was strong enough to make sure he could protect himself. It was then VERGIL tightly gripped Yamato at Issei's words, since even though a large part of him felt like he was being insulted by the brown-haired boy, but a small part of him felt that there was truth to Issei's words, since ever since his mother was killed by the demon sent by Mundus, he always saw humans as weak and fragile beings that should not live unless that they have or desire the strength in order to survive in this chaotic world that they live in. Since if the weak keep on desiring protection from the strong, then not only will they never grow, but also it will make those who are strong as easy targets. VERGIL. Serious. All the while Dante couldn't help but look at Issei with surprise, since he couldn't believe how close he was to figuring VERGIL was a person deep down inside, since he knew better than anyone why the eldest son of Sparta was the way he is right now. Ever since their mother Eva was killed by the demons that were sent by Mundus, VERGIL had always secretly felt like he had failed to protect his mother, despite being the son of the most demon that ever walked the earth, and that in the end, he blamed his human half, and thus desired the same power that their father once wielded in his prime by any means. Whenever they had, Dante would try to convince his brother that this was not what their mother wanted, but of course VERGIL's stubborn and prideful nature wouldn't listen to reason. But in the end, before their deaths, when his human half merged with his demonic half Urizen and became whole once more during their final battle, he did notice that his older brother did change. But he could tell that for him and his point of view that life has been forever closed to him, and he probably thought if Nero was fine up to this point without him, then he didn't need him anymore in general. Issei. Serious. I don't know exactly what happened to you to make you the person that you are now, but it doesn't give you an excuse to cut yourself from everyone around you. Especially your own son. But I at least know it wasn't totally out of your own free will. No, something in your past made you into the person that you are now. Saddened, which probably explains the other thing I saw when I looked into your eyes. VERGIL. Eyes narrowed. What other thing? Issei. Saddened. You were once a slave, weren't you? Dante. Shocked. Dante was now definitely surprised, since he knew from one of these familiars named Griffin that VERGIL no longer remembered the time that he was Nilo Angelo, since him along with Shadow and Nightmare were living constructs of those times when he was indeed humiliated and enslaved by the Demon King. Now reaching the limit of his curiosity of the brown-haired boy, the younger son of Sparta decided to ask the Welsh dragon. Dante. Serious. Okay, seriously, Ddraig. Just who is your host? Ddraig. Curious. Are you inquiring about him claiming your brother was once a slave? Dante. Serious. Yes. Ddraig. Surprised. I'm surprised. I truly didn't think someone like VERGIL would become a slave to anyone besides his ambitions. Dante. Sad. And it was a few years after he probably fought your host in which we both finally met each other after so long. He wanted to claim the embodiment of our father's power, the forced edge that was sealed away in the demon realm. We fought since what he was doing was wrong, since it went against what both our father and mother wanted. In the end I won our battle, but VERGIL decided to journey further into the demon realm where he faced Mundus to try to prove himself superior to our father. But in the end he was defeated. He was tortured for who knows how long until Mundus essentially broke him completely and turned him to his faithful servant Nilo Angelo. After he was able to break free, he discarded the traumatic events of him being a servant to Mundus into 3 constructs who served as his human side familiars, and when I killed them, it seemed it also erased the memories during that time. Ddraig. Serious. I see. Dante. Serious. Oh, tell me at least this, Ddraig. Was this kid a slave just like the girl he is trying to save? Ddraig. Serious. Yes, he was. Actually, they were both servants to the same master, and the only reason he was able to be free from his evil pieces was because he had me to help him purge them. Dante. Serious, I want to ask you how he became a servant in the first place, but something tells me you're not going to tell me. Ddraig. Serious, no. For that you must ask my host yourself if your brother doesn't kill him at the very least. Dante. Serious, we'll see since I think the kid is definitely on his last leg. Ddraig. Smirks HMPH. That's what you think. Dante. Curious. Ddraig. Smirks, if there is one thing that you must know about my host is that at the end of the day he is an idiot who doesn't entirely think things through, no matter how serious or dangerous the situation may be. But if there is one thing that I learned from the short time he has been my host, it is that even a fool can make the impossible possible, as long as he doesn't give up, and something tells me that we are about to witness one of those miracles. Now this intrigued the youngest son of Sparta, because from what the Welsh dragon was speaking, it sounded like that neither him nor his brother hadn't seen the full capabilities of the brown-haired boy's strength. Although he was quite skeptical about the red dragon's claim given the state Issei was currently in, but if he was being honest with himself, Dante was truly rooting for the brown-haired boy and hoped he could win this battle, since he could tell from the look in the boy's eyes that he indeed wanted power, but not for the same reasons as his brother. No, he wanted power so that he could help to protect the people he still holds precious in his heart, and he was more than willing to go through hell and back 100 times over in order to do just that. All the while Virgil was looking at the brown-haired boy with confusion and doubt at what he just said, since he has no memory of being a slave to anyone, but for some reason as soon as Issei mentioned him being a slave for some reason he couldn't help, but there was some truth to his words. Virgil. Eyes narrowed, what are you talking about? Issei. Smiles sadly, you were once a slave before. I can see it in your eyes. Virgil. Serious, I was never a slave to anyone. Not ever. Issei. Saddened with eyes closed, I see. Saddened with eyes open, I guess the trauma of what happened to you must have been so bad that even if you are just a spirit soul you have completely forgotten what has happened to you during those times. I cannot begin to imagine the pain and humiliation that you might have gone through. Virgil. Serious, I have no idea what you are talking about. I was never a slave to anyone. Never. Issei. Saddened, you may say that. But both your eyes and body tell a different story. Virgil. Eyes narrowed while letting a low growl. Issei. Serious while trying to get up, but despite that. Dante. Virgil. Surprised, huh? Both white-haired men were surprised and amazed at what they were currently witnessing, and that was for Issei standing back, although with great difficulty, despite stating earlier that he practically had no energy to continue fighting. Both of them couldn't but wonder what was driving Issei to go this far. They felt it was something more than just his desire to win or to prove himself that he was indeed worthy of wielding Yamato. No, it was something deeper than that. Virgil. Serious, what are you doing? Issei. Serious while groaning in pain, I'm going to make you remember what you have forgotten. Virgil. Eyes narrowed, what? Why would you do that? Issei. Groans in pain because I have too much respect for you, Virgil. Virgil. Eyes narrowed. Issei. Serious, you are a true warrior. Not only do you have essentially unmatched power, speed, and skills, but you also have a sense of nobility and honor. Smiles weakly, though you do have a shitty way of showing it. Virgil. Eyes narrowed, what are you talking about? Issei. Smile weakly, let's be honest here. If you truly wanted to, you could have ended my life within mere seconds of us starting our battle, or simply could have just kicked me out of the mindscape and made it to where I could never lay a finger on Yamato ever again. But you decided to give me a chance. A chance to prove my worth, me. Smiles sadly, a stupid perverted boy who was always told by everyone, even to the people who were supposed to love and support him unconditionally, that he would never amount to anything no matter how hard he tried. Dante. Mind. Saddened kid. What the hell happened to you? Ddraig. Mind. Saddened partner. Issei. Smiles softly, when I finally figured that out I saw that there was truly more to you than meets the eye, Virgil. Underneath that cold and stoic persona, you truly are a kind and honorable man. The only reason why you act cold and uncaring to others is because a part of you wants them to become stronger. Strong enough to defend themselves so that they never feel helpless or weak ever again. Sure, you may have done some unforgivable things that you may not be able to forget, but that is a part of life. Doesn't matter if you are human or not, hell, you can be a god for all we care, and we are bound to make decisions that we will no doubt regret later down the line. But what's important is how we learn to live with those mistakes and find a way to move forward. You truly are a good person, Virgil. A person truly worthy being called a son of Sparta. The eldest son of Sparta was truly awestruck by the words of the brown-haired boy about what he truly thought about him. Virgil was conflicted, since at one side he was glad he was given such respect and admiration, on top of being worthy of being called his father's son. But a large part of him truly believed that the brown-haired boy was truly a complete fool spouting such nonsense. He truly believed if Issei actually knew what he actually done in his life, All the pain and suffering he committed, the deaths he caused when his demonic self Urizen grew the Quilpeth tree, all for the sake of obtaining power, then for sure the brown-haired boy would truly despise and resent him for it, since that would be the more logical and right emotion for it. But when Vergil kept staring into Issei's eyes, all he could see was pure honesty and hope in them. Did this brown-haired boy that he just met truly and grown to respect really held him in such admiration that he would even overlook how he lived when he was alive? What he did in order to achieve power, or even essentially abandoning his own son? But what Issei said next would shake Vergil to his core. Issei. Serious, that is why. Points Ascalon at Vergil. I'm going to return the kindness that you have given me by making you remember what you have forgotten, because you simply just forgetting what happened is not moving forward. It's just you simply running away, and I refuse a warrior such as yourself to run away from your past. Vergil. Serious, did you ever think that some things are forgotten for a reason? Issei. Serious, yeah. But that doesn't mean that they should be forgotten, because it is those memories that shaped who we are now and should be set as a reminder of how we became this way. To make sure we don't make the same mistakes again. Saddened while the eyes narrowed even during our battle, I still couldn't forget what happened to me, no matter how hard I tried, but I'm also glad that those memories won't go away because they serve as my motivation. My motivation to become better and stronger than the person I once was, and show not only them, but more importantly myself, that I can become stronger, that I'm more than just a Sekiryuutei. Serious while getting into a battle stance. Don't you see, Vergil, even in death you are living an illusion, constantly running away from your fears instead of facing them. I know I can't entirely talk because I have some issues of my own that I need to work out, but I let someone that I deeply come to respect continue living in an illusion of your own creation. Vergil, mind. Serious, I will admit. Despite him speaking nonsense about me suppressing a memory, he does indeed great motivation to become stronger in those eyes of his smirks. HMPH. I guess I can humor him and see what he's all about. Vergil. Smirks while getting into a battle stance. Very well then. Show me your motivation. Issei, mind. Serious, I literally have almost next to nothing amount of energy. It's literally a miracle all on its own that I'm still conscious right now, which is weird since I'm technically in an unconscious state in the real world. Takes a deep breath. Serious, dig deep, Issei. Deeper than you ever had before, and find the strength to help you come out this battle on top. Vergil. Smirks, are you ready, boy? Issei. Serious, ready as I'll ever be. Vergil. Smirks, let's have some real fun. Issei, mind. Serious, please. I just need to get close. Close enough to make a decisive attack. It was then just before Issei's foot could make contact with the solid surface that he was previously standing on. His entire body glowed in a shining silver color that caught both white-haired men by surprise. But before Vergil could even blink, let alone react, Issei appeared right before him, which completely shocked everyone, especially the brown-haired boy in question. Fling. Issei, mind. Shocked and confused. What the fuck just happened? I was about to try to dash with Ascalon towards Vergil, and then all of a sudden, before my mind could process it, I was right in front of him. Eyes narrowed. Wait. This feeling is so familiar to me. Could this be another ability or skill that Malzeno had? I mean, I'm pretty sure Albion said he was the true vanishing dragon due to his unparalleled and whatnot, but to think this is how fast he might have been during his prime, and I feel as though I haven't even scratched the surface of what Malzeno could do. No matter. I'll figure out all that crap later. Right now I need to win this fight and prove a point. Dante. Shocked. What the hell did the kid just do? It looked similar to my trickster style, but different, as if he was naturally defying the laws of space and distance, let alone seeming a lot faster than when I use my trickster style. Ddraig. Serious, It sounds like my host unknowingly used the skill that Malzeno used that earned him the title of the true vanishing dragon. Dante. Curious, the true vanishing dragon. Ddraig. Serious, yes. You see, if Malzeno was known for something, it would be no doubt for his speed that resembled that of a shooting star. He could travel across the entire planet, as well as traverse different realms in a matter of fractions of a second. Dante. Amazed. Damn. That's like 1,000,000 times faster than me or my brother when we still had our bodies, but I could tell that what the kid just did was nowhere near that level of speed. Ddraig. Serious, I would imagine so, but that just means my partner has taken the first step in becoming the true dragon god he was meant to become, and he will no doubt thank his brother for that. Dante. Serious, let's hope so. Vergil, mind. Shocked. How the hell did he get past my defenses before I could even react? Eyes narrowed. To think he had something like this up his sleeve. Just what else are you hiding, Issei? Issei. Serious, I told you, Vergil. Vergi. Surprised, huh? Issei. Serious, I told you that I'm going to make you remember what you have forgotten, and I meant it. I never break my promises. It was then Issei's eyes began to deep crimson, the color of blood, which startled both sons of Sparta. It was then Issei completely disappeared, to which the white-haired man then became surrounded by dozens of afterimages of Issei circling around him. The speed that was going on even became too much for someone like Virgil, whose fighting style mainly revolved speed, couldn't either keep track or figure out where the brown-haired was, or even which one was the real one. All the while, the brown-haired boy in question really didn't pay much mind on what he was currently doing, or more importantly how he was doing it. It was as if his body was moving on its own and his mind was on semi-autopilot. He was aware of what he was currently doing, but at the same time it was as if his instincts were going into overdrive and were guiding him on what to do. "Virgil?" Smirks impressive, "didn't really think you had something like this up sleeve." It was then Issei saw a perfect opening to strike. He quickly lunged at Virgil before his afterimages disappeared completely, but of course, Issei was not the only one with keen instincts, to which at the last second Virgil was able to perfectly block Issei's attack. But before their blades made contact, Issei said something that startled Virgil deep down. "Issei? Serious, remember?" Virgil? Confused, huh? Pling. As soon as the two clashed, a bright flash of light engulfed the area, which blinded not only Virgil, but also Dante as well. When the flash went away and both white-haired men looked to see where Issei was, what they saw in Issei's place shocked them to their core, more so Virgil and Dante, since when he saw what was in front of him, his body began to shake in both fear and anger. Dante? Shocked, it can't be. How is this possible? Virgil? Serious while trembling, who are you? What stood in Issei's place was a humanoid demon with a heavy olive green jade green colored armor with blue pulsating lines running across it and a purple cape. His helmet is engraved with a humanoid face with glowing orange eyes. The helmet also has red and blue horns protruding from the top, thus framing his face. He also has round shoulder pauldrons, a pointed chestplate, and greaves with spiked knee pads. He carries a massive unnamed broadsword which erupts with a fiery blue aura when he attacks. Unbeknownst to Virgil, the being in front of him was Nilo Angelo, a demon created by the demon king Mundus by enslaving Virgil and trapping him in one of the Black Knight armors forged by the demonic gunsmith Machiavelli. As Nilo Angelo casually stood there silently, Virgil became more increasingly agitated. He didn't know entirely why, but the more he looked at the being in front of him, the angrier he became, as if looking at a cracked mirror. Dante understood why Virgil was getting so angry, because Nilo Angelo was not only the manifestation of his trauma when he was forced to be a slave to Mundus, but it was the constant reminder of how truly weak was, and for someone like Virgil, who valued strength above everything else, any reminiscence of him ever being weak was like being defeated 100 times over. Dante, mind. Serious, I don't know how you are doing it, kid. But at least I now know what you meant by making him remember. I just hope you know you probably opened Pandora's box. Virgil? Agitated, I said, who are you, where is Issei? Nilo Angelo. Silent. Virgil? Annoyed, answer me. Of course Nilo Angelo didn't answer, but instead in a single motion the armored man instantly appeared in front of Virgil with his massive broadsword over him. Virgil blocked the upcoming attack, but it was what Nilo Angelo did next that actually sent shivers down his spine. Pling. Nilo Angelo. Serious, you know who I am. Virgil? Confused, huh? It was then Nilo Angelo pushed back Virgil a few feet away, but before Virgil could even have a fraction of a second to collect himself, the Black Knight appeared in front of him again, not allowing the white-haired man to even think of a counterattack. Virgil couldn't believe how fast and skilled this armor was with a sword that large, which was even larger and probably heavier than the rebellion. He figured that Issei had become the armored knight that he was currently fighting, but whether if the brown-haired boy was the actual Black Knight or if he was somehow being possessed, either way, if the legendary Dark Slayer knew anything, it was that he needed to defeat this being in front of him by any means necessary. All the while Dante saw this fight in a different light, in which Nilo Angelo was overwhelming Virgil. Since he could tell his mind was not all there, he could see the definite fear in his older brother's eyes, as well as the slight shaking while holding Yamato. Dante, mind. Serious, this isn't going to end well, isn't it? As the two swordsmen continued their battle, it had now become clear to Virgil he was somehow on the losing end of this battle, but the question he had on his mind was that how? How was this possible? He knew that it was still Issei he was fighting, but he could have sworn he literally had little to no energy left in him to fight. But here is this jet black armored knight filled with energy backing him into a corner, all while matching him in skill. Each time their swords clashed, Virgil felt an overwhelming amount of anger, but something else. Something that he hadn't felt in years. It was both familiar but also foreign at the same time. Virgil, mind. Worried, am I truly feeling fear? Nilo Angelo. Serious, have you figured it out yet? Virgil. Serious, just who the hell are you? I can tell that you are Issei, but at the same time you are not. Nilo Angelo. Serious, but you do know who I am, even though your mind may have forgotten who I am, your spirit and soul does. You are just trying to deny who I am. Virgil. Serious, you're lying. I don't know what Issei did, but you are just some manifestation that he somehow conjured up in order to supposedly make me remember I apparently forgot. Nilo Angelo. Serious. It was then in a split-second motion Nilo Angelo, using his superior strength and speed, swung his large broadsword sideways, as if it were a baseball bat, and sent Virgil flying towards the other side of the field. Virgil was able to tank the hit from Nilo Angelo's attack, but still a fair amount of damage caused him to cough quite a bit of blood. Thankfully he was able to use Yamato control his landing by it in the ground. Virgil. Pant. Serious. Damn. That was some attack. Nilo Angelo. Serious, since you refuse to remember who I really am. I will just have to show so that you can face the truth. It was then Nilo Angelo stabbed his broadsword into the ground, holding it in place, in which he placed his hands over his helmet and removed it, but what Virgil saw made his eyes widen in absolute shock and horror. Virgil. Shock. No. No, it can't be. It's not possible. When the helmet was removed it revealed Virgil's face, now sporting deathly pale white skin, with blue veins and red pupil-less eyes. All white-haired man could do was stare in absolute fear and shock like a deer in headlights, completely motionless. All the while Dante couldn't help but look away in sadness, since he was the one who killed him when he was forced to serve Mundus. Nilo Angelo. Serious. Now do you remember? Virgil. Shocked. You're me. Nilo Angelo. Serious. Yes. I am you when you were known as Nilo Angelo, a loyal and obedient servant of the Demon King Mundus. Virgil. Nods in defiance. No, it can't be. I would never serve Mundus. Nilo Angelo. Serious, but you did, when you allowed yourself to fall into Inferno, Demon Realm, and you arrogantly challenged Mundus, thinking you were just like father, believing you could defeat him. In your arrogance you were easily defeated by Mundus, to which he tortured and humiliated for being so weak due to your human side. As Nilo Angelo explained who he was and how he came to be, memories and images flooded into his mind. The memories of him being beaten and tortured by Mundus, his body and soul being constantly chopped and put poorly back together and being shoved into that black armor. The years of mental torture and trauma as he tried to free himself from the Demon King's control. Once it was all done, Virgil could stare at Nilo Angelo with absolute horror, as the truth was now revealed to him. Virgil. Horrified. I remember everything, the pain, the suffering, the humiliation I endured. But why? Why are here? I'm already dead, so why are you here now? Nilo Angelo. Serious, to settle this once and for all. Virgil. Confused. What do you mean? Nilo Angelo. Serious, to see once and for all if you truly are as strong as you say you are. Virgil. Confused. What? But sadly Virgil did not receive any response from Nilo Angelo, but instead got attacked by the Black Knight, to which Virgil was barely able to block his attack. Now Virgil was completely on the defensive. Not only was he nearly out of energy, but with the revelation that he was truly a slave to someone like Mundus had his mind in circles. As if to add salt to injury, Nilo Angelo thus began to insult Virgil for being so weak and pathetic. Nilo Angelo. Serious, is this really all you got? Pathetic. You truly are as weak as you were before. Virgil. Mind. Eyes narrowed. Damn. I don't how long I can genuinely keep this up. He knows all of my skills and techniques and can no doubt counter them perfectly. On top of the fact I spent almost all of my energy fighting Issei, just how am I going to beat him? Issei. Serious, you need to dig deep. Virgil. Mind. Surprised. What the hell? Issei, is that you? Issei. Serious, you need to dig deep to find the strength to win this battle and confront your fears once and for all. Virgil didn't know what the hell the voice of the brown-haired boy was telling him. Dig deep, what could that possibly mean? And if he did, it would really help him gain the strength to defeat this remnant of his past. Virgil. Mind. Serious. Okay, but how do I dig deep? How do I gain this supposed strength that you are talking about? Issei. Serious, look within and remind yourself who you are. Virgil. Mind. Closes his eyes. I see. I must look within. Both Nilo Angelo and Dante were genuinely confused as to what Virgil was doing, closing his eyes. Even though he was still able to block Nilo Angelo's attacks, he was on the defensive, which was not good for Virgil. All the while the white-haired man in question was deep in thought. He began to throw away the memories of his life, both the good and the bad. He will admit, he was not a good man by a long shot. He caused so much pain and suffering in his pursuit of power, and trying to be like his father Sparta, not caring who got hurt in the process. There was definitely no form of atonement or redemption for him, and now looking back he could have easily avoided all of that if he had stayed with Nero's mother and become a father to raise him, but the fears of him losing his mother on that night prevented him from doing so, which made him an even shitter father. But was he going to wallow in despair about it? No, he accepted the path he went on because it has already been done, and even though he is dead all he can do was accept it and keep moving forward, which also meant accepting the parts of his life that he tried so hard to forget. Dante. Serious Virgil, what are you doing? Nilo Angelo. Serious, have you finally accepted defeat? Are you willing to die as an absolute weakling? Virgil. Eyes closed. Nilo Angelo. Serious, well in that case. Raise his sword over him, you shall die. Virgil Sparta. Crack. When Nilo Angelo tried to end Virgil once for all with his broadsword in a swift motion, Virgil, using Yamato, was able to slice through the large broadsword. Both Dante and Nilo Angelo were completely shocked because they couldn't believe Virgil was able to break Nilo Angelo's weapon, which Dante knew from experience was a tough weapon to crack since it was able to withstand force edge. It was then Virgil's body began to glow a deep azure color, and when he opened his eyes, they were also glowing the deep azure color, but they were also filled with both motivation and determination. The determination to win this battle. Nilo Angelo. Shocked, how is this possible? Virgil. Serious, my name is Virgil Sparta, eldest son of the legendary Dark Knight, and the human woman Eva, spins Yamato, and I want. Stab. Nilo Angelo. Coughs out blood blurg. Virgil then stabbed Nilo Angelo, all while maintaining his stoic and fierce expression, but if one were to look closely enough, one could see a slight hint of sadness, since this was still Virgil. The one who endured all of the pain, for whom a brief time was able to escape from those painful memories. But he would never openly admit it. Virgil. Serious, let some remnant of my past control me, even in death. Nilo Angelo. Smiles softly HMPH. Virgil. Curious, why are you smiling? Nilo Angelo. Smiles softly, you finally let it go. You finally have become strong, Virgil. It was then Nilo Angelo's body became mist-like, dissolving him entirely until in his place was Issei holding a broken Ascalon and having a soft smile on his face. Both brothers were genuinely shocked because they really hoped that it wasn't actually Issei that Virgil was fighting, with Dante being more on the worried side. But both of their thoughts on what was going on when they heard the brown-haired boy speak, although fairly weakly. Issei. Smiles weakly, so Virgil. Have you finally woken up yet? Virgil. Surprised, huh? Smiles softly, yes. Yes, I have, and I thank you for that, Issei. Issei. Smiles HMPH. That's good, grabs Yamato now then. Virgil. Dante. Surprised, huh? With Issei's hands on the Yamato, he forcefully pushed himself away with the legendary blade with gallons of blood spewing from the wound. Dante and Virgil could only watch in absolute shock and amazement in the resilience in this young boy to be enduring all of this pain in such a weakened state. When Issei was finally able to remove Yamato from his abdomen, he backed away from Virgil, although a bit wobbly, but he still maintained that smile. Issei. Smiles softly, we can finally finish our fight. Dante. Shocked, kid, are you absolutely insane? You are completely exhausted of all of your energy, and even though we are just in a mental mindscape, if you die here, you will die in real life. Issei. Serious, I won't give up until he admits defeat. Dante. Aggravated, damn it, kid. Looks to Virgil. Virgil, that is enough, the kid has obviously proven himself worthy of Yamato, stop this before he ends up dead. Now if Virgil was genuinely being honest with himself, his younger brother, as annoying as he could be, did have a point. This boy in front of him has indeed proven himself of wielding his father's sword. But when he looked into Issei's eyes, although being somewhat glassy-eyed, which meant he was at his absolute limit and was essentially running on a mixture of adrenaline and pure willpower, there was something else deep within those eyes. Pure motivation, the blazing inferno deep within the brown-haired boy's eyes that essentially roared at him that he will never back down or admit defeat, even if he does end up dying, and he will become the strongest no matter how many times death keeps knocking at his door. When Virgil saw that in the brown-haired boy's eyes, he couldn't help but smirk in both admiration and respect for him, since he couldn't believe that this boy who hasn't even reached adulthood yet was willing to go this far just to prove himself worthy and becoming the strongest. It was then the white-haired man got into a battle-ready stance, which caused Dante to have an expression of disappointment, since he couldn't believe that his older brother was willing to let this boy die just to prove his strength. Virgil. Smirks while getting into a battle stance, I won't fall so easily. Issei. Smirks weakly HMPH. I would be disappointed if you did. Stumbles, ah. Of course, due to the amount of damage and blood loss Issei had endured during his battle with Virgil were finally taking his toll, which caused the brown-haired boy to fall on one knee while coughing out more pints of blood. This of course infuriated Issei, since he wanted to keep going. He wanted to both himself and Virgil that he was indeed worthy of both Yamato and their help. He wanted. No. He needed to prove to himself that he was more than just a perverted boy who would always be looked down by everyone. Issei. Frustrated, come on you stupid body. Get up. I refuse to admit defeat, not here, not now. Dante. Sighs in exasperation, geez. Just how stubborn is this kid? Here I thought the only stubborn person I knew was my brother. Ddraig. Serious, do not blame him, Dante, it is his dragon pride speaking. Dante. Curious has dragon pride. Ddraig. Serious yes, as you know we dragons are beings of immense pride, as well as natural-born warriors, from the day we were born. As such we will never truly admit defeat, or else it will completely shatter the pride we uphold so proudly. Right now my host is showing the characteristics of a true dragon. Dante. Serious I see. Dante, mind. Concern damn it Virgil, just why are you pushing him this far? All the while Virgil, who may not have shown it, but a feeling of deep concern for the brown-haired boy after seeing fall onto one knee, he wanted to tell him that he fought well and stop the fight, but that would be completely disrespecting the boy's resolve to finish this fight. And as a fellow warrior he would be more infuriated than anything since in his eyes, it would like a sign of pity which was something he definitely did not want. Virgil, mind. Serious come on Issei, just like what you did with me, you need to dig deep and find the strength to finish and win this battle. Issei, mind. Annoyed come on Issei, you can't puss out now. Not when you are so close to finishing this. I need power. I need more power. Random male. Serious then use the juggernaut drive. Issei. Surprised huh. Virgil Dante. Surprised huh. It was then forming behind Issei were a bunch of men and women ranging from old to young in white robes with their eyes completely hollow. Both white-haired men were confused as to how this was happening, since no one should be able to enter this unique mindscape unless they allowed it. All the while Issei was also confused as to how this was happening, but couldn't help but feel that he recognized this voice as well the term juggernaut drive from somewhere before, but his instincts were also telling him to not listen to these voices or use this so-called juggernaut drive. Random female. Serious if you wish strength then the juggernaut drive is your only option. Random male. Serious speak the chant and victory will be yours. Dante. Serious who the hell are these people? Ddraig. Serious what's going on? Dante. Serious a bunch of people in white robes came in all of a sudden telling Issei to use the juggernaut drive. Ddraig. Panics shit. Those are all of my past processors. They are trying to corrupt him and make him activate the juggernaut drive. If that happens there is no telling what will happen, both you and your brother need to somehow stop this. Dante. Panics crap, that juggernaut drive I remember how much of a pain it was to deal with when the previous Hakurik used it against me in our fight, Virgil. Virgil. Serious Dante. Annoyed are you fucking serious summons DSD fuck it, I'm going to. Virgil. Serious stay where you are Dante. Dante. Confused huh. Virgil. Serious if you take one more step, I'll kill you once and for all. Let us see what happens. Dante. Frustrated are you fucking insane. Virgil. Serious just watch. Dante. Growls in annoyance. As the previous possessors of the boosted gear began to convince or more like pester Issei using the juggernaut drive to say the brown-haired boy was annoyed would be an understatement, the constant demand of speaking the chant was like a broken record, he genuinely wondered how Ddraig was able to handle them for all these centuries. Random male voice. Serious the juggernaut drive. Random male 2. Serious use the power of domination. Random female. Serious victory solely lies in the juggernaut drive. Random female 2. Serious only through domination will you find salvation. It was then the corrupted energy from the negative emotions of the past possessors of the past wielders of the boosted gear began to manifest and tried to surround Issei, convincing him to use the juggernaut drive by reminding him of his betrayal and his unyielding desire for power to defeat Virgil. Issei. Annoyed stop it. Random male. Serious you know that the path towards victory is the juggernaut drive. Random female. Serious as the Sekiryuutei, this is your fate. As the negative emotions began to become larger and more dense, the brown-haired began to fall, due to the pressure of their combined mutual hatred. But Issei wasn't going to give in without a fight, he wouldn't let him, and now reborn true dragon be defeated by something so weak and pathetic, as this his newfound dragon pride wouldn't allow it. Fortifying that resolve deep within his very being, something snapped within the brown-haired boy, his body began to glow, but in not just the shining silvery color as before, now shined a deep brilliant gold color into the mix. Everyone was now completely on guard since not only was new to them, but the fact that the feeling of this new golden aura gave off was not only powerful but also frightening, as if everyone in the presence of this golden aura felt inferior in every way. Virgil, mind. Tense this aura it feels. Divine. Dante, mind. Tense is this kid secretly part god. Meanwhile back outside. Things were getting tense for both Zenobia and Office, with the latter still maintaining her emotionless expression. Ever since Issei coughed up that large pile of blood Zenobia began to panic, since she didn't know if Issei was going to die or not, despite Office reassuring that he was still alive, although barely. Although the blue-haired girl was obviously not the only panicking, since Office was also greatly worried for her older brother's reincarnation well-being, especially since this is the first time that any of his reincarnation truly turned into a true dragon, which meant that Issei would be the one to fully become her older brother Malzeno once more, and she did not want him die again. Zenovia. Panics Office, please tell me, is there any way we can help Issei? I'm begging you, I'll do anything. Office. Nods emotionless. No, there is nothing we can do, not even Ddraig can help him right now. All we can do now is to wait and hope that he can miraculously overcome this obstacle. Zenovia. Concern, I know, but I can't help but worry about him. I mean, so much has happened to him in such a relatively short amount of time, and it's pretty obvious he hasn't properly sorted out his emotions. Not only that, he hasn't been trained on how to use his new draconic body, putting him in a huge disadvantage against someone with years of battle experience, like the Sons of Sparta. Saddened while letting out a single tear. I don't know what I would do if anything were to happen to him. I don't think I could truly face Irina if I have to be the one to tell her that Issei died and I couldn't do anything about it. Office. Emotionless. Tell me. Do you care for him? Zenovia. Startled. What? Office. Emotionless. I said, do you care about him? Do you care about Issei? Zenovia. Saddened. I do. During the short time I have gotten to know him, I have gotten to see more than the typical pervert that everyone makes him out to be. I can now see that underneath it all he is truly a kind, honest, and straightforward man who believes only in doing what is right. When I finally saw that I genuinely couldn't, in all my years in training and becoming an exorcist as well as killing devils, that I would ever meet a devil who was possibly more righteous than as any angel in heaven. It was also then I began to wonder the kind of father he would be and the women he would have, and smiles sadly. A good part of me wanted to be one of those women, although my original ways of going at it may have been questionable. I want to believe that my reasons behind were true and genuine, and I want to hope that when he does come out of this, we can hopefully maybe start things off properly. Office. Mind. Smiles softly. It seems that you found yourself a good mate, Nai-san. Office. Emotionless. I see. Curious. Zenovia. Surprised. Huh, what is it, Office? Office. Emotionless. Eyes narrowed. Get behind me. Zenovia. Confused. Huh. It was then in one quick motion Office stood in front of Zenovia, and using her aura of infinity, she summoned a force field made out of draconic energy. Zenovia wanted to know what had gotten into the gothic Lolita girl, but before the blue-haired beauty could ask, a large destructive wave of gold and silver energy came spewing out of Issei, destroying the surrounding area. Zenovia could only stare in confusion as to what was going on, all the while Office could only narrow her eyes in both annoyance and surprise, since she recognized the nature of this golden aura and where she felt it from. Office. Mind. Eyes narrowed in annoyance. I honestly believe it, honestly, Nai-san. Out of everyone in existence, your true reincarnation just had to be related to the only other person besides Baka Red, who I find dreadfully annoying. Office. Whisper. Eyes narrowed. Baka Golden Boy. Zenovia. Curious. Huh. Back with Issei. Issei. Roars. Roar. But that roar, the golden aura exploded, destroying all of the negative energy and knocking back all of the past possessors. As the brown-haired boy began to get up from the ground, he pulled back his hair to the point it looked like a blazing flame, but that wasn't the only thing that felt off about Issei. When all of them looked at the expression, the boy, who was a few seconds ago almost on the brink of death, had an expression of both authority and unrivaled arrogance, which was even proven when he finally spoke. Issei. Breath's eyes narrowed. You damn mongrels have some fucking nerve annoying me with your long-dead ideology. Virgil. Curious. Issei. Issei. Curious. Smirks with his eyes closed. HMPH. Just hold on a bit longer, Virgil, as I do intend finish our battle. Looks towards the past possessors with a glare, but first I need to deal with these mongrels. Dante. Mind. Serious. At least he's still in there in a way. Issei. Serious. Now then. You damn mongrels, I order you to begin. Random male. Serious, but you need us. Random male too. Serious. That is right, the Juggernaut drive is the ultimate power. As the Sekiryuutei, you must follow the path of domination. Issei. Disgusted. Pathetic. Just pathetic, all of you allow yourselves to be corrupted by a power that wasn't even yours to begin with. Random female voice. Serious. That power was there for us for however we see fit. Issei. Annoyed. And that is why all of you are mongrels, always relying on somebody's strength rather than your own, making you a slave to that power. Waves his hands. Now begging, mongrels, and I shall prove to you that I shall find a better path than domination. Once Issei waved his hands, the past possessors began to turn to fade away, signifying that they were returning back into the boosted gear. But before disappearing completely, two possessors of the boosted gear had final words for the brown-haired boy. Random male voice. Serious, you take on an impossible task. The path of domination is the only path of those who wield the boosted gear, and soon you will walk that same path. Random female voice. Serious, and you will become a slave to that power. Just like how you were before becoming the Sekiryuutei. As the past possessors of the boosted gear, finally Issei narrowed his eyes and gritted his teeth in anger, since he knew what the past Sekiryuutei were referring to, and the worst part of it was that they were partially right about that. He was always a slave no matter how he looked at it. Even when he was a literally servant to Rias, he always obeyed or complied to what others said, whether it was his former parents or his friends Mitsuda and Motohama. He always complied to what others told him without hardly any form of defiance. It was then he thought about the meaning of his name, Issei Hyoudou. The honest soldier. Now the honest party didn't mind at all, since he believed honesty was the most important aspect of anyone, whether it was bad or good, since it meant they were true to themselves. But it was the soldier part that bothered him, since no matter how you looked at it, soldiers were also slaves themselves, always being forced to follow orders by those who were higher ranked than them, essentially becoming more like drones than anything else. It wasn't like they were actual warriors who are only slaves only to their morals and beliefs, which was something that Issei can actually respect, since they willingly chose that path in their own will. The brown-haired anger was starting to rise to new heights, as he would vow that he would no longer be a mindless soldier blindly following orders, but he needed to be something more than just a soldier. He then asked himself what higher than a mere soldier. A mere pawn. Issei. Eyes narrowed in anger. No longer will I be the honest soldier. Dante Virgil. Confused, huh? As the brown-haired boy's anger began to rise from looking back on his life, his resolve began to fortify, which was being sensed by Ddraig, who couldn't help but smirk in both pride and anticipation, since host, or his great-grandson in this case, has finally reached his peak. Ddraig, mind. Smirks. I honestly can't believe it, only 2 months after unlocking the boosted gear and barely any training on how to use it, and you have already reached this stage. Ha, ha, ha. You are an amazing person, Issei. I expect nothing less from my great-grandson. Meanwhile, in the reverse side of the world. In a region within the reverse side of the world that is relatively the size of England lies a large tower floating in midair, surrounded by the most beautiful flowers in this or any other world. Within this tower sits a man with a robe woven with the finest fabrics, though he still looks modest, his long hair appearing with the colors of the rainbow under sunlight. This mysterious man was currently watching the brown-haired boy formerly known as Issei Hyoudou, the current Sekiryuutei, battling the oldest son of Sparta with great interest. Now he would admit he did feel slightly bad for the boy, especially knowing who the boy was related to, but he understood why it needed to happen. Even though he doesn't have the same level of clairvoyance, he knew all of this was necessary for Issei to fulfill his destiny. But at the same time, the mysterious man couldn't help but smirk deviously, because he just thought of something to help relieve him of his boredom a bit. Smirks. This is certainly a surprise. It was one thing for him to be related to Artoria and Ddraig, but to be related to him of all people. I must say this boy is certainly filled with surprises. HMPH, well, in that case, I guess it's my job to help train this boy to become the silvery golden king he will no doubt become, and maybe I should also help at least one of his future queens, while I'm at back with Issei. As soon said those words, a deep red aura that took the form of flames exploded from Issei's body and began to spiral around him, which made both sons of Sparta on edge with Virgil, especially since he recognized the nature and power of this was from Virgil, mind. Serious, this power. There is no mistaking it, this is the power of the Sekiryuutei. Smirks. HMPH. Well, I'll be damned, to think a boy as young as you would be able to reach that state. You definitely have exceeded my expectations, Issei. Issei. Serious. I from here shall become the honest Dragon King, and I vow to find a path free from the confines of fate. I will cast away the darkness and despair lingering in everyone's heart and fill them with shining everlasting hope. As soon as Issei said those words that filled with fiery determination and passion, the gem on the boosted gear began to glow brightly, and from it came out Ddraig's voice filled with pride and power. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. But that call, Issei's body became engulfed within a pillar of crimson flames that would be too hot for almost anyone, including those of a Dragon King class, to come close to. The amount of energy that pillar of fire was releasing had Virgil both on edge and filled with excitement, since now he truly believed that this fight was not only going to be fun, but also interesting. When the pillar of fire died down, what came out was a person in a red dragon armor with green jewels that covered the body with 2 retractable dragon wings on his back. This was the complete form of the forbidden technique of the boosted gear, the scale mail armor. On his left hand was Ascalon, fully repaired and brimming with holy and dragon-slaying energy. Issei. Smirks. Are you ready to finally finish this, Virgil? Virgil. Smirks. HMPH. I must admit you have far exceeded my expectations, Issei, and the fact that you were able to achieve that form at even such a young age speaks volumes on how strong you will become in the future. Out of respect for coming this far. And I think I should respond in kind, be grateful, since only Dante and Nero were the only people that pushed me to go this far. Issei. Smirks HMPH. It was then Virgil's body began to glow a deep azure color, to which his form changed into the demonic figure Issei once saw in his dream. Dante, who was watching, couldn't believe that his older brother was even willing to enter his devil trigger to fight off Issei. Even though the brown-haired boy achieved balance breaker, the fact that both have been injured and severely drained of energy could only mean that they wouldn't last much longer and that this would most likely be their final attack. Virgil, demonic. Serious, now I'm ready, Issei. Issei. Smirks HMPH. Let's finish this, Virgil. But that being said, both of them gathered all of the energy that they must into their body, readying for one last final attack. Even though Issei finally achieved his balance breaker, given he has exhausted most of his energy, he believed he barely has a minute left in this form, and boosting his strength would just drastically reduce the time limit on his armor. The brown-haired boy just had to believe that this was all that needed to finally end this battle once for all. Issei, mind. Serious, I won't lose. Virgil, mind. Serious, show me your motivation, Issei. Whoosh. It was then in that one fraction second that even Dante was barely able to follow what was happening. Both Issei and Virgil appeared on opposite sides of the area that they were fighting in, with their blades stretching outwards, both of them having blood on them. There was an absolute moment of silence. The only thing that could be heard was the breathing that was made by the three people in the area. It wasn't until a second later both Virgil and Issei returned to their normal forms, with Virgil's devil trigger being deactivated and with Issei's armor being deactivated. It was then a large cut appeared on Virgil's shoulder, causing a good amount of blood to spew out, which surprised Dante, because he doesn't think he has ever seen his older brother take on that much damage, and was about to fall to the ground, but before he did, he placed his foot forward in order to stop him falling. Virgil. Grunts in pain, I won't be defeated that easily. It was then Dante looked over Issei, to which two large cuts appeared on his chest, spewing out a large amount of blood. The brown-haired was about to fall to the ground as well, but before that could happen, he planted Ascalon into the ground and used it as his support to keep him from falling. But what startled the two white-haired men was how weak Issei's voice when he spoke. Issei. Weakly, I won't lose. Not to you. Or anyone ever again. I refuse to be the weakling I once was, only to be abandoned. Virgil. Dante. Shocked, huh? When both Virgil and Dante looked at the brown-haired boy, they saw his eyes were completely hollow, signifying that he was running on sheer adrenaline and willpower. They couldn't believe that in such a weakened state this boy had the will and spirit to keep on fighting. Even Virgil couldn't help but be admired by the brown-haired boy's unbreakable will to win and become the strongest, and deep down, he even had to admit that mentally Issei was no doubt stronger than him. But that last part about him being abandoned did leave question marks on the sons of Sparta, since they didn't really know anything about the brown-haired boy. But before they could put any real thought on what he could possibly mean by that, Issei, despite his body no doubt being in absolute pain, ignored it and, using all of the strength he had in his arm, lifted Ascalon and charged towards Virgil. Dante was going to step in and finally put a stop to this madness before the brown-haired boy killed himself, but Virgil did something that he thought his older brother would never do in even a million years, even in death. Virgil. Smirks while putting his hands up. HMPH. I surrender. Whoosh. But those words, Issei stopped in his tracks with Ascalon pointed at Virgil's throat, and once Issei's body felt and heard that Virgil surrendered, the brown-haired boy collapsed to the ground, finally succumbing to his exhaustion. Once Issei on the ground, Virgil snapped his fingers, opening up the mindscape to Ddraig, but what Virgil and Dante didn't expect was that there would be two other people following through. Virgil. Eyes narrowed. Who are you two? Belzerd. Serious, my name is Belzerd, I am one of the previous wielders of the boosted gear, and I am still considered to this day as the strongest wielder of Ddraig. Gestures to Elsha. That woman there is Elsha, and she is the second strongest wielder of Ddraig. Dante. Smirks. Why hello pretty lady, how are you doing? Elsha. Serious, not interested. Dante. Stunned and while sweat dropping. Huh? Elsha. Concern. Oh you stupid boy, charging head first into danger like that, almost getting yourself killed, and with no form of proper training with either your body or your sacred gear. Sighs while caressing his cheek. But that's just the way you are, charging straight into the flames without a second's hesitation, without any concerns of your own well-being. Smiles softly. But it is that mindset that will one day end this curse once and for all, and open towards a new path. Virgil. Serious. Tell me then. Are you here to try to corrupt Issei like the others to make him use the Juggernaut drive? Belzerd. Nods no. We are here in hopes we can train him on how to use the boosted gear properly, since we both believe that this boy could possibly be the new strongest Sekiryuutei past, present, and future. VERGIL. Serious, I see. Well, I do agree with you that this boy definitely has the potential to become one of the strongest beings that ever existed, even both me and Dante when we were still alive. Dante. Serious, well, sadly your Dumbus overworked him, and now he could be knocked out for a while. Ddraig. Serious, I won't be that long per se. We dragons also have a pretty impressive healing factor that is on par with demons, hence we can battle for periods of time without feeling exhausted. But given he hasn't properly adjusted to his new body, I would say it would take him about an hour or so to regain consciousness. Dante. Serious, well, in that case, since the kid won't be talking for a while, I think you owe us an explanation on who this kid really is and what is his deal. At this, both Ddraig and the two strongest wielders of the boosted gear grew a saddened expression, since they all knew what caused Issei to become this way in the first place. The amount of pain and sadness that the brown-haired was still processing was immense, even more so than any of the past Sekiryuutei. Ddraig. Serious, like I told you, that is not my place to say. VERGIL. Serious, he was a slave, wasn't he? Everyone. Shocked, huh? Dante. Surprised, how did you? VERGIL. Serious, when I unlocked my lost memories and looked into Issei's eyes, I saw the exact same thing that he saw in me, someone who was once a slave. Even though he is free, he cannot escape the humiliation that he endured being bound by someone else. Ddraig. Sigh, sadly you would be correct, son of Sparta. VERGIL. Serious, well, in that case, Welsh dragon, show us how this boy became who he is now. Ddraig. Serious, VERGIL. Serious, if you truly wished for us to help this boy, then we need to know who he is and what was his past, so Welsh dragon, if you truly care for this boy, then show us what led him down this path. Ddraig. Sigh, sadly, very well. Meanwhile, in the depths of Issei's soul. Within the deepest part of Issei's soul, where not even Ddraig can venture into, we could see a shadowy figure who was obviously male sitting what seemed to be a throne completely made out of gold. The shadowy man had an amused and arrogant grin on his face as he saw all that had transpired with Issei from his betrayal to his battle with VERGIL. Laughs arrogantly, ha 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 ha. Truly amusing, this mongrel of a descendant of mine. Grins to be able to cheat death not only once but almost 3 times, claps in amusement, spectacular, truly spectacular, no doubt entertainment worthy of a supreme king such as myself. Now I can see why Juzo said that you would be the one most likely to inherit my power and treasures, but I can see many more trials ahead of you before facing me, so until then keep me entertained, my descendant, and show me you are indeed worthy of my bloodline, unlike that mongrel father of yours. But that said, the mysterious man sat quietly on his throne, drinking out of a golden filled with the finest wine that this world had to offer, waiting patiently to see what other forms of entertainment the brown-haired boy will provide for him until their destined meeting. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.